they were part of this empire, but very long ago, in the 19th century. Swedes also keep laws. In Sweden, they keep these things. I don't know about the front row in Sweden. Had lectures there, but I don't remember. It was full house.
Well, I think probably there the social democratic society has influenced the country so much that I had my former wife. She still works. She's working for a Swedish company.
Mm.
And the equality rules there, it's nonsense. But
You wrote.
I think the truth about Estonians right now is, and probably it is about Lithuania as well, we are not a country people, we are city. So, majority of Estonians lives in the city.
Yes.
And have abandoned many of the
City people, but with that village mentality.
Okay.
Okay. No nii. Mis see käib siin? See kuidagi lõikad seda. All right. Hello everybody. Even the spotlight is here, or more light. We speak in English because first of all we can speak in English, and second we have guest who's not fluent yet in Estonian.
Not yet.
But you're discovering our city and our country. I was the one who initiated this discussion because I know that a very special person was about to visit Tartu. He's a good colleague, first of all, of us, of me and the team of Tartu 2024. And second, I think that he has been kind of representing for me Kaunas 2022, which has been a great role model for Tartu 2024. So we have learned a lot from Kaunas 2022. It's a former European capital of culture, and yes, if I may, then I would do a little excursion to past before I let the gentleman speak. So I remember I visited Kaunas consciously after many years, a few weeks after Kaunas had been designated for the title. So you started to prepare for the title year. And I remember a lot of exhausted people there, but still very open, very nice, ready to answer any of my stupid questions, because I was at that time starting to run the candidacy team of Tartu 2024. And this has led to the next nice, intelligent, bright person. And Rytis Zemkauskas, who's here, was one of them. And I must say that my admiration towards him was so strong that I couldn't approach him for years. However, I was very carefully following how Kaunas 2022 was doing and what was the role of Rytis in all of this. And I can say that besides being a very imaginative, great thinker and a visionist, I also met him as a great performer, interviewer, moderator, and lecturer sometimes. So that is why I also will kind of distance myself from being the moderator of this talk. And therefore I'm happy to introduce Berk Vaher, who had a bit similar position than Rytis probably for Tartu 2022. And when I knew that Rytis was about to come to Tartu, then I thought, okay, these two bright gentlemen need to meet. And I was proposing a casual dinner or a lunch over a beer or a glass of wine, but Berk suggested why not doing it here in the Tartu Literary House. Why not doing it more openly, maybe recording it, maybe having some audience here. So let's imagine, since probably talk quite a lot about imagining, let's imagine that it's a casual meeting of two authors, writers of these books. And I'm just around a small fly on the wall, and then you as well, and let's have this discussion here.
Yeah, when you said that is coming around, I thought once that we have to make some kind of recording of it, because there have been several future European capitals of culture or candidate cities that have been asking for this know-how, how you did it, why you did it this way you did it, why did you write your bidbook the way you did it, and how you won, how did you win this title. And I thought it would be nice to have this recording as part of a legacy that cities can consult with, not copy, because every city is unique. And when we started this process of Tartu 24, when the bidbook of Kaunas served as a kind of reference point for us, or it definitely served as a reference point to me as a writer, but it was never the idea to copy it in some way, because it's impossible. Every city it has their own texture, I would say, unique texture, and you can't just copy a blueprint of a bidbook wholesale to another city. But you can perhaps pick up some tips or some ways of playing it. And I think this is what we've done, Kaunas and Tartu. We've approached this task quite playfully.
May I just immediately ask, Rytis of course can join in, do you think we have done it somehow differently than the rest, or is it kind of the same kind of pattern everybody's following? Do you think you did it somehow differently, because you also have explored and observed as we have the other journeys?
Well, Erni was too kind introducing me, saying that I have written this. Well, we did. It was never me. It was never. I always saw myself in two different positions. The first position was I was a verbal decorator. Yeah, because those bright professionals of our team had written the bulk of that bit, the most important factual, professionally based material. It's like based on expertise. They did everything perfectly, but they needed this verbal decoration. They needed this golden shower.
Let's pass it around. I mean,
And this is,
have you
this is,
ever seen it?
yeah.
So
And this was
you can have a look.
This was my role that I took, and and after doing that, I took another role, which was the dogma keeper, because once you have a bidbook, it should be implemented, I think.
Or should not, because
Well, yes, but you should try to keep your team and your thinking on track, because it's a huge project. It is, and you know that it's a huge project. Too many challenges, too many points of seduction. You can be seduced by this or that. Be careful about that. I thought. And because I was always trying to, okay, guys, we have this new suggestion. How does it fit? How does it fit into this constitution? Look at it as a constitution, because a constitution of any country is a philosophical document, and then everything stems out of it. Then it is developed into many other things. It is a philosophical document, but still it is a constitution. You can take it word by word. Yes, but you can take it as a philosophical idea. So when I'm speaking about dogma, so I mean it philosophically a little bit. But answering to your question, well, I tried to read one or two bidbooks, and I was like, no, no, of cities which were capitals before, because we had consultancy. We had consultancy, we had professionals consulting us, and there are consultancy firms doing this. You know that as much as I do. And the consultancy was very much trying to propose, hey, look, take this bit, and you know, it's like this was the winning strategy, this was the winning strategy. And I was looking at those things, and I thought, no, I don't like that. It's too bureaucratic. It's too European in the bad sense of that word. And I'm very much pro-European. I love European Union. I think it's the best thing that happened to humanity in its history, and it's underestimated, tragically underestimated. And I don't want to do it again. I want to raise it to a new level. Okay? So that was my feeling. That I was cocky about it. I still am. But what can I do?
So we were lucky because the same consultant said, well, look at the Book of Kaunas. and that was a kind of, it's a very good cue because it had this playfulness in it and it had this cockiness in it, which I think...
which consultants didn't like. And they wanted me to not do it. And I said,
yeah. But
I said, no,
I think
I will do it.
There was always a bit of power play at the beginning with those advisors.
Yes.
And it was the same for us. And we just said, look, yes, we know that you've secured the title for a dozen odd cities, but we know the local scene. And you don't.
Yeah.
And let's just agree that we are equals in this game.
And this power play is okay. I mean, you should do it. It's good. It's a good thing, you know. This is the way for you to grow up every day.
Yes, and there was one very important thing that they did in the beginning. They came to Tartu. I think they had never been here before when they first arrived, or perhaps just passing visits.
It was around the same period.
Yeah. And they did a couple of days of spying, just meeting different people, going to clubs, pubs, just meeting people around. And they were looking for a challenge of Tartu. What's the problem of Tartu? And they came up with splendid isolation or smug insularity. And yeah, that was it. And I still think they were right. They identified the key issue with Tartu, that it's so happy in its own bubble. And when I started to read the bidbook of Kaunas, I was kind of shocked by some things that you said there. But the people of Kaunas are backward-minded. How can you say that? But you're probably right. I didn't say as much in the bidbook. I saved it for later. But it's not. It's something that you experience in the process. It's not that this backward-mindedness is somehow bad or wrong. But in case of Tartu, and there was just a couple of days ago when the magazine came out with my essay on that the cultural scene of Tartu very much likes history. And there are reasons, historical reasons for that, because in Soviet times, it was a kind of escape, turning to history, turning to classics, turning to
the golden age.
Theology, turning to medievalism, whatever, world literature. And the previous leader of Estonian Writers' Union, Tiit Aleksejev, recently published an essay about 1988 and the students living in a moment at the time. But he's also a historian. And he said that future at the time was for activists or careerists. And so I felt there has been this kind of deficiency of futurism. It's not necessarily bad that people are keen on history. And I think we should always take into account the kind of treasure that has been accumulated with it. But you have to bring in something new. And European Capital of Culture was a possibility of doing that. Primarily, it has been a futurist project.
I would agree with you. We had similar thoughts.
Rytis, you have also, okay, let's not put it solely on you, but you have been part of the team which have tried to create a new narrative, legend for the city. But before I ask that, and it's very interesting, I think you succeeded. I don't know how long it has lasted and whether it's, what is the survival of this narrative. But before that, I would like to ask Berk, what is the, does Tartu have a legend?
I think it has too many.
Okay. Or what would it bring down?
In the Kaunas bidbook, there was the sense of creating a new story where there had been a kind of lack of identity, or perhaps some kind of identity that had been ossified or become kind of so rigid that it had lost its meaning altogether. But in case of Tartu, I think there's overabundance of identity. There's the notorious Tartu spirit, of course, and a lot of people who think they know what it is. And only just recently in spring, there was this anonymous, not quite anonymous, the author had been titled Little Moo, like in his Moomin stories. And in the university magazine, he kind of expressed his discontent with European Capital of Culture, Culture 24, because it lacked those historical references.
Okay.
The 19th century Lydia Koidula, the historical things, you know. And I think that those ghosts have been haunting us for the whole period of bidding and preparing and carrying out this year. There's always someone popping up and asking, where's this, where's that, where's this part of Tartu myth, where's that part of Tartu myth? And I think what we've been doing is not like abolishing all that, but adding new things to it. You can see it differently. We still have Emajõgi, we still have Toomemägi, a lot of other things from that past, but we've been expanding that kind of identity with new insights, new stories, adding stories. It's a compendium of stories. I think the most terrible thing for a city is when you have a finished narrative, and when it becomes a kind of European Disneyland. You sell that
like
kind
Venice,
of,
for instance.
for example, you sell that story to new and new generations of tourists with very little innovation.
Well said. Well put. Yeah.
Yeah, what we have tried to do is to take all this and try to put it in a box, which in our case is a application or a bidbook, and then try to make it real. But now to the myth of Kaunas. What's very shortly, if it's possible, what's the background of this? If there is a person who doesn't know anything about the myth of Kaunas and where it has led you to.
Well, the modern myth of Kaunas. This is the way we decided to call it. The modern myth of Kaunas is an idea that there is this mythical beast living in a city. It was the first citizen, it will be the last. This is it or she. It doesn't have clear gender. even, at attribution, gender attribution. And in a way, it is something which is a condition of the city to exist, the main condition of the city to exist. You know, it's like raison d'être. And that was this idea of this beast was based on a very simple assumption that a city is a living organism. The whole city is a living organism consisting of God knows of everything: cars, cats, us ourselves, you know, mains, drains, whatever. Living and animated and non-animated things, but still a living organism, breathing, having smell, having this, making noise, and whatever. So city is living organism. So the idea of this beast is based on that. And again, because Kaunas had fragmented history, emerging, disappearing, emerging, disappearing. And this fragmented history had nothing, no material which could glue it together. So the beast provides this tool to connect everything. So it's because of the beast. Yeah, because citizens, they had a contract with the beast, and when they break the contract, the beast is not there, not defending the city, not helping them, and whatever. It's like a fairy tale moment here, of course. So that was the main idea, to have some continuum story, some story which would answer to basically every question about the city. Why? Why is it so? Why it isn't so? It's because of the beast.
Blame it on the beast.
Blame it on the beast. Yeah, it's a bit like in Morocco. Blame it on Irfits or all types of imaginative characters. So that in this situation, I tried to.
Yeah, which is the kind of the essence of any mythology.
Yeah.
It's a thunder coming. Then it's because gods are doing something.
The theory of mythology requires two things: transcendency and repetition. And the story should repeat itself over and over again. It's like Sisyphus or whatever. And transcendence, something connected with worlds beyond. Beyond that immediate reality that we have here now. And Kaunas didn't have that. Never. The foundation story of Kaunas was appalling. It was like not interesting.
Not even a national hero who would draw, I don't know, this
Nothing
story.
there. Nothing there. It was badly written. It's bad literature. It's shitty literature. You cannot build your future on a shitty literature. It's that simple, because every myth has
Was it just your understanding, or the group of people, was it like a wider understanding?
I convinced them. I convinced them it was so.
Okay. Well, when I first read Kaunas bidbook, and you can actually see my notes there on the margins, I thought the idea of creating a new myth is preposterous, but I was instantly intrigued. How can you just build a new myth up in a couple of years leading up to it? And I was so intrigued because it had an ambition. I mean, we have a kind of similar type. Oh, I managed to get into this vision book of ours, Waldorf Mikita. It was like a conveyor belt of producing new myths. And I think it's necessary, really. And I really like the idea of beast of Kaunas as the life force of the city, because we in Tartu had a similar kind of myth of let's say, a mythical character of a spirit of Tartu, which has this kind of connotation of that the city is dead. I think it's kind of in cartoons. It's depicted as this Casper figure, like this hovering white bubble. But a spirit like this has this connotation that it doesn't really have a body anymore. So that has been my problem with the spirit of taoism.
Transparent.
Yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't mean like we should discard it. Maybe that's our creative challenge to give new meanings, new connotations to it, to build this body behind the spirit again, or around the spirit.
Or fill it with,
Yeah.
With a certain content.
Yeah.
And one more important thing, Erni said that he thinks it was a success. Nobody knows if it's a success, and nobody should know as for now. Because my project is very simple. It will take 100 years, at least 100 years, to know whether we are successful or not. And we, me and the rest of the guys, we should be forgotten. Nobody should remember our names. This is my idea. Then it becomes a myth, if it ever becomes a myth. You see? It's like a seed. It's just a seed that we tried to plant.
Okay,
But nobody knows what will. But it's there. It already had happened. I mean, the planting moment had already happened. And from now on, see, it's just nobody knows, and it should be like that. And I like it. I mean, I like it this way. This the idea of the beast. And that's here for that is why I have written it in forms of fairy tales for children and adults. And I know many Kaunasians who are growing up reading or listening to audiobooks.
That's also very clever.
Of course.
Where upbringing. That's the essence of the thing. That you want,
This is my cunning plan. But I think those guys who had written Myth of Sisyphus or Persephone or what, they also had ideas like this. And there was this conscious effort behind those myths some 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. There's always an author, but we don't know him or her.
Yeah, you speak about repetition, but I guess you really made it if it's repetition with a difference, but new stories are growing out of it. It is diversifying. And I think that's one of the key experiences of the European capital of culture, that you largely invent some kind of a possible future. And of course, it's not a single person's work. We had those open calls for projects. The bidbook, as it is kind of structured by certain questions, and half of it is written by Galle Baas. At the heart of it is trying to imagine some kind of a possible future. And that goes right down to the project descriptions. Some of it has been consulted extensively with project managers. Some of it's pure fantasy, but some of it, and a lot of it, surprisingly a lot of it, has happened, and a lot of the projects have diverged from those original descriptions, become something else entirely, and so you have this body of speculative fiction of cultural events. Almost like a Borgesian catalogue of possible cultural events. Yeah. And that's the charm of it. And that's the charm of future, as it always escapes. It's never quite the way you write it down. And I think today we don't even quite realize how miraculous is the extent to which those ideas have become a reality. Because in the years leading to Tartu 24, we have COVID, we have Ukrainian war starting, and for example, one project, Kissing Tartu, this idea of mass kissing on the town hall square. I think we've gone a bit too far from COVID, because a year from COVID, it sounded like a very bold and fantastic idea to have those people gathering on town hall square and have mass kissing.
You have a great monument there
Yeah,
for kissing.
yes, but there was a moment in very recent history when it was just not possible.
Yes.
And when this one final happened, and I didn't think people even remember this impossibility. There were quite few kisses because suddenly it wasn't like an act of defiance anymore. It was everyday reality.
I think you're maybe a bit too theoretical and maybe philosophical about it. It is the essence, of course, of the act, but there were much more practical reasons why the mass kiss did not happen. I have a theater background, and it should have built this way that there was.
There should have been a cue.
But it was a technical question. The symbolism of the act and the project was there, and that's the most important. Of course, we would love to see thousands of people, getting together and having the love in the air. But this did not happen.
But I digress. I mean, the idea is that those bidbooks are very largely speculations, and it's kind of amazing when a lot of those ideas actually start to happen. And there are projects that are written down there with roughly the same developers achieving roughly the same results as we imagine. But there are also things that were kind of speculated to happen, disappeared completely, and then came back around from another direction, because we're kind of in the air. In the first bidbook of Tartu, there's this project of making sculptures of plastic trash, which was completely invented by us, and that disappeared. And this year, actually, school kids made those portraits. Let's say 3-dimensional portraits out of plastic trash. So it did come.
It was a success.
Yeah.
It was out there on the most frequently used street, and everybody look at it and say, "Wow, great!"
So it kind of
One thing, you were actually much more than us. We really put it out there and saw what to do. But thinking about your program, I think you were much more than designing it and curating it and also implementing the ideas on their own. What was the reason? Were you afraid that you would lose the original idea, or can you open that up a bit? Because I think that your concept itself was so perfectly designed. I can tell you later if I remember what was the thoughts on the eye for me, if I may say so, of the whole concept, and that probably was the most magical moment about Kaunas 2022 for me. But what was the reason why you didn't want the others to implement, or to what extent they actually did?
Well, I can speak for me.
Of course.
Only, not the rest of the team. I'm a very much controlling personality. So I'm a dictator. So this is how I do things, and that is the only reason, But of course, I live in this world for some time now, and they know that you cannot be too much of a dictator in a normal country. so you declare things. You say, yeah, I want it this way or that way, and then you expect somebody to do it, and you must accept the way they understand, the way they do it, and so this that's always this dynamics of the process always, and of course I should allow that to happen. But yes, I conceived, for instance, speaking about the 3 big events of 2022, which I always said from the beginning, from the very first day we were appointed, I used to speak all over Lithuania that the year of the title is not that important. The most important is the way that should be gone from the moment of appointment to the title year. And the most, and we planned lots of events during those 5 years. And those years were the most important because many people participated, many people were galvanized, inspired, and things happen when you do things for a long time. It's simple truth.
Okay.
You must do things over and over again. It's like the myth should repeat itself. But as for the main events, as for the 2022, so they were conceived and implemented literally. I mean, literally. It was like a year of 2018 or something. I was sitting in a plane flying to Barcelona with my girlfriend, and I took one bottle of wine and started to write. It's like this, and I do have this PowerPoint presentation up to now. That the first event should look like this. It should be based on this and this and this. The second should look like this. It should be based on this and that. The third one, it will be a 3-act play, classical 3-act play, with exposition and peripateia and climax, like Greek format, and it should end with a contract. And
that was very.
And when the plane was landing in Barcelona, and I had 2 bottles of wine, I was writing this contract in 2018, and
you stick to it, and
everybody
record it for the final show.
So it was implemented literally every event. I imagined the rivers. I imagined the river show. By the way, Paris Olympics wasn't that original, the opening, because we imagined it in Kaunas 4 years ago, 5 years ago, easily, Of course, I'm joking a little bit, but I'm very proud of this about this contract, because I think this is a universal thing which could be used everywhere. And when I was writing, putting down all these things, I was imagining that Kaunas is a case study. It is not the city. It is not the capital of culture. It was a case study, a playground for every city in the world to take a look, to maybe learn something or learn from our mistakes. So it was a model, an experiment in a way. This is how I tried to present it for Kaunasians and for the rest of the interested audience, So and I am proud of it, because I think because you should do things for others, not for yourself. You should do things to make this world better, as silly as it may sound.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that the European capital of culture is a playing ground, a testing ground,
Yes.
a lab of sorts.
Yes, a lab.
That you try out certain things that you haven't done before. You have, like with our opening, you have a grand event in open air in winter, and see how it pulls up. And there are always people who whine about this and that. They didn't see anything, they didn't understand anything, but now we tried it. And having been there, I think it pulled off greatly. I think it was a success in the way it was carried out and completed. And then it's an experience. And there's a lot of other instances where...
Experience or experiment?
Both. You had the experiment, but you got an experience out of it. You got some kind of a knowledge out of it, how to do it again, differently, better, more crazily, whatever. So this is an important thing to understand, because I think a lot of people want ready-made. They want some kind of a package where they, as consumers, get this pleasant experience. We understand
Feel
everything.
comfortable.
Yeah, we feel comfortable.
It's like a stand-up show.
Yeah.
It's like a stand-up comedy.
And
You go there, you join in, you
Yeah.
laugh, you listen, you leave, and you don't remember anything.
yeah, and that's exactly what the European capital of culture shouldn't be. Of course,
Yes.
there are several events that have been that, and I guess you need to have those events to keep people on board. But
Yes.
you only keep them on board to expand their experience.
And the European Union, which has only two good projects, I mean, two good initiatives, two sexy initiatives. That's Erasmus and the European Capital of Culture. Those bureaucrats in Brussels, our bureaucrats, okay, they are appallingly underestimating that project because it galvanizes intellectual potential all over Europe. It could make Europe richer, literally rich. I mean, like, okay, we are too rich now, but yes, it makes us richer, more immune, more immune to the outside threats that are many. And again, the European Union as a vehicle, as an ecosystem, they know nothing about capitals of culture, and we should try our best to promote that idea. And I made my efforts. Our team made some efforts, unsuccessfully yet.
Yeah. By the way, I was like raising this question when the Cultural Affairs Committee was meeting in Tartu a month ago, and they was like, "You got this display in this museum?" And I said, "No, but I'm sorry, my other colleagues are putting a lot of effort into having it, to highlighting it." But it seemed as if it was a surprise for them, and might have been for some. So yeah.
Because they underestimate the power of culture. Culture is a power tool. Russians know that very well. So
They know both. They know the power of not being without culture, and also the power of culture.
but still,
Soft.
propaganda is a culture tool,
Yeah.
and everyone knows it. So we can do many positive things with the potential that cities have. And this is city-based, a community-based thing. Europe is about communities. Europe was always about cities, not about countries or empires. I mean, Europe as a civilization, as a polis, as a Greek understanding of it. So let's get back to the roots, because these are productive things.
For a very long time, I think European Union was taken for granted. But another thing happened before Tartu 24, and that was Brexit. And suddenly it wasn't so taken for granted anymore. There's this mobility, this fluent interaction across borders wasn't so taken for granted anymore. And that in a way was beneficial for us, for example, because when I think of a literary festival, the literary projects, then some of the most interesting input came from young British writers. One of them had this performance of tattooed bodies in the new theatre. And the people who went there said that that's one of the highlights of the festival. And this is something good to hear. And he could discover that, wow, I can make this project here. It's part of the European capital of culture. I, as a Brit, as a British artist, as a writer, am part of Europe through that. And this is something that I also felt that this is one of the things that has made it. But this is a kind of mythical European dimension that was expert panelists expect without really knowing themselves what it's supposed to be. And there it is, it's European dimension.
We can always accept the United Kingdom back to European Union, and we could always throw back Hungary out of the European Union, and I think that will do much good for the European Union. For the prestige of the club.
I want to intrigue you with something. You both, no, you, if I say you, then it's Kaunas and Tartu. You have the ambition of being a role model for something, or for the whole Europe.
Yes.
We were, remember, Berk, we were attempting to speak in the name of maybe not all, but many European small and mid-sized cities.
Yeah.
And you had your own ambition.
Why settle for less?
Yeah, why settle for less?
Oh, wait a minute. Have we succeeded?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Why? What is your proof?
Yes,
What is
because
your
we're
explanation?
sitting here now talking about it and understanding each other perfectly. So this is a success.
But would he understand what we speak of?
I don't know.
It's
It
here.
will take
Because we
time.
might be also a closed club, a
Yeah.
circle.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But this is the beginning. Somebody should say thanks, and somebody should risk. Because without a risk, you cannot achieve it. And future is always a risky thing. History is a risky thing. Sometimes we rewrite history, right? But future is a risky thing. So we should be ready to take risks. I mean, intellectual risks are the best risks you can take.
Absolutely, it's just the beginning. I mean, there are people in Tartu, intellectual people, cultural people, who view the entire Tartu 24 as a kind of alien invasion. All those strange people who haven't frequented those bohemian clubs, suddenly turning up, wearing the same kind of t-shirts, wearing the same kind of uniforms, telling people what to do. And a few people have said that what they most expect from Tartu 24 European Capital of Culture is when it ends. It doesn't.
But still,
Dream on. It doesn't end. It's just the beginning. That's the transformation point where I think the major changes should only just start. And that's one part of it. But if you ask, has it been a success on a European level, then on the one hand, it's too early to say because the year is only just, I think, 2/3, we can say. But there have been several cities who have approached us, you, me, other members of the team, asking about the know-how.
it's the apostles of the future.
You mentioned that Tampere bidbook for 26 we lost out to Oulu, but I was just one of the writers, and they kind of asked me around, saying that we liked the bidbook of Tartu so much. So can you just join in and share some of that fairy dust? And there have been others. There have been others who have said that they liked some of. They would like to include some of that spirit. Yeah, now I'm talking about spirit again. That we had in our bidbook, and I think this is a signifier of European success. We've done something in this process that interests other cities. They want to redesign their identities inspired by it. Yeah, I would say it's an inspiration.
Let me remind you, we were speaking in the name of
Yeah,
many. Also, those who are out of this league.
which is
Who
always
don't belong into this sect of the European capital.
which is always
I'm intriguing here. You understand?
Yeah.
It's understood. How many people understood Andy Warhol at the beginning? Yeah. But you see, the idea of the European capital of culture as we know it today is very young still. Because at the beginning, the first 15 years or so, it was business as usual. I mean, like Athens, Rome, it was like huge celebrations of those already over touristed countries and places.
And they could have another tick in the box.
Yeah.
Also the-
And the idea, and no consultancy, nothing, everything is based on bureaucracy, and everything was very safe. Very safe models, safe things. Cities are starting to take risks like 5-10 years from now. I mean, like it's a very new thing. And I think this should be a movement. This should be an intellectual movement. And we should speak about it to whoever wants to listen and be patient about it and don't expect too much.
Here's where the southern Estonian region comes in, I think, because I think we've inspired the cities there quite a lot. And it doesn't mean like every regional city would become a minor Tartu. I think that would be unnecessary. But there has been some kind of change, I think, in mentality, and not just southern Estonia. I mean, the ECoC people here know that there recently was this contretemps, this kind of disagreement in Oulu, and a bit of a scandal, a bit of a conflict, and I read the comments, and one of the internet commenters, the commenting there was quite high level, I would say, more intellectual than it tends to be in Estonia. But one of those commentators said that I went to Tartu as European Capital of Culture 24 and went back to Oulu and felt so empty. What have we to offer to compete with that? And we shouldn't get overexcited by that, of course. We shouldn't get haughty about that. But I think it's important to stop feeling inferior to European cities, because we've also had this kind of inferiority complex in the media, that it's all in vain. We couldn't compete with other European cities. After the opening procession, there was an article in the local newspaper that no one will come here anyway. We want to be a competition for other European cities. I think that is being proven wrong right now.
I agree. And sometimes it's about journalism, because media wants headlines, and those headlines are sometimes totally stupid. Like, you cannot even argue with those headlines. It's like impossible.
And in our case, I think the media, or at least the local newspaper, has even taken the position where they want to be critical, just because of being critical.
Yes, it's been changing.
Public
devil's
support.
advocate. It's like
Who
devil's
else
advocate.
should be? Otherwise, we simply bang the same drum, wear the same T-shirt, so on.
It has changed recently, and I think it's.
But again, it should be better literature. I mean, that journalism should be better literature. So this is what I'm always speaking about. Yeah, you can be a devil's advocate, but do that elegantly. Do that on a level. That's the challenge. Challenge yourself. That is the most important. You should challenge yourself. How can I do it better than they did? In my own understanding of the world.
It comes back to telling stories about the city, or competing in telling stories about the city. And And sometimes the media hangs on to those old stories and old identities. And at the same time, you can see that they're not quite satisfied with it. They are expecting something new to come around.
I'll give you an example, which is, I don't know, I cannot find a better example for that, because Kaunas was always speaking about itself as a former capital of, temporary capital of Lithuania, which happened between 1920 and 1940. For 20 years, Kaunas was a temporary capital of Lithuania. Okay, it was. Yeah. Now, today, headlines of today, I mean, like, sales of electric cars in the temporary capital had sold, for instance. What does it mean, like temporary capital? It's Kaunas now. It's not a temporary capital. It's not nothing. It's like, why do you use this synonym? Because at school they're taught that you should use more synonyms, then your speech will be richer. It's
So
not
that's been
true.
implanted in the tongue of
Yeah, exactly.
centuries.
And it's bullshit. I can tell that. I'm a linguist. You know, synonyms have different meanings. So if you use a different word, it is of a slightly different meaning. So again, it's a logical mistake for the first, by all means. So, and they still say so. So that's what I mean, speaking about better literature. Find a better synonym. Find a better way to express yourself. I mean, your thought.
Yeah, the words do have power. So I
Words
started
stories
thinking about the
have
foundation of Tartu's self-complex, actually, when we picked up Arts of Survival. It's as if we are always struggling. That also relates back to our history. City that has always been torn down, burned down, rising again, of course, but there's as if it's determined that we're always burned down. That there's always a survival mission. If we're talking about the city night.
Yeah,
this is part of the Arts of Survival.
A myth of Phoenix.
Yeah.
When we came out with that main concept, Arts of Survival, it had its adversaries, it had its skeptics. The current president, who then was the director of National Museum, was kind of very condescending about it. But the years in between have vastly increased its relevance. And it's never been just about the single city. From the start, it was about the global situation, and that had something to do with our competition, because we were running against Narva, who at some point became a kind of media darling, because it was a border city. There was this tragedy, this sense of need, and our own media said that now it's going to make it, because Tartu has everything. Tartu is this dull little European dull city, and we would not have enough intrigue. So
You're not miserable enough.
yeah.
To win.
So the counter move was that if Narva plays on being on the border of Europe and Russia, or on the border of kind of two huge cultural domains, then let's talk about the whole globe. Let's talk about the climate crisis. And we were possibly the first, well, I've been told we were the first, I'm not that quite sure, but it's of course flattering to believe that we were the first to put the climate crisis in focus. But that's just one thing. And if we think about COVID and war and all that, Arts of Survival has gathered new meanings. And now it's in common use. People use it quite fluently in different contexts, and I think it's a good thing. It's been appropriated, misappropriated at times, but it's gone into public use.
Sometimes, yeah, I'm just, it's. But yeah, I'm often thinking, are we flattering ourselves?
Yeah.
It's a constant question in me. Yeah, we threw it out, and we were lucky. Perhaps that history played it this way, that it started to have this meaning. Probably, of course, if the war in Ukraine hadn't started, which was in a way in the air all that time, or if the worldwide pandemic happened, then I'm sure that Berk is intelligent enough person to find new connotations for our society.
There are a lot of ifs already, and well, the climate crisis wouldn't have gone anywhere. And
that was essentially there. That was from the very beginning there.
Increasing tensions in Europe wouldn't have gone anywhere. And the marginalization or threat of marginalization of the small cities wouldn't have gone anywhere. So I wouldn't dare to say in those circumstances that we were lucky, because it's been a terrible decade so far, absolutely ghastly decade so far. But I think we caught on to something quite early enough, and that's to do with a sense of seeing with what kind of certain European prosperity, even post global economic crisis of 2008, had seen this prosperity and having this premonition that it wouldn't last, it couldn't last. And this is something that for example, was presented in this business as usual play about the money laundering of Scandinavian banks. You kind of see that so much of this prosperity has been built on a lie, or like it was old European countries depending on Russian gas or whatever. So much has been built on trickery, but it couldn't last. And we would find and would better find ways of living that are not so dependent on that false idyllic state.
And it's about us humans, we are, we tend to be liars. I mean, the more I think about us, I mean, like, recently, the most interesting question to me is us as a species. How do we function? How do we still? Why are we still killing each other? For instance, of course, it's a trivial question, but this is the most important question to me. How can we do it? Being so intelligent and so in the know of so many things, how can we still? Why are we still doing it? And but getting back to that flattery, self-flattery, well, I think that an artist shouldn't feel miserable all the time. I think,
of course not.
Yes. So if you had a wonderful idea and
all the dust is there,
let us enjoy ourselves, and we are in a very good position in our countries, I think, now, to enjoy ourselves and to say things about the world, because we are very democratic. We are really very in a very good position, and we know things, and we understand things. Of course, we are not better than the others. It's nonsense. But we can speak, and we can initiate things, and we can do many good things. So that's good. Let's do it. It's not self-flattery. It's like in the Olympic Games. In order to win a medal, in order to compete, you should trust yourself. You cannot do it otherwise. It's simple.
It would be an excessive self-flattery to start banging on my chest, but I invented it. No. It's largely spotting things, picking up things that are already there, And that, I think, is what artists should do. But it's normal work. That you see that the climate issues are already there, or in our bit, the mental health issues are already there, and they are growing. It's being alert to what's going on around you, and picking up certain things that maintain their relevance.
And many other countries are still silent about it. I mean, mental issues, lots of other things. So this is what we are in a good position to start, or maybe to propose.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's my compliment towards Berk, of course, who came up with this phrased it for the first time, this creative concept. And I think it was flexible enough already in its essence to cluster these challenges around it. And then definitely our program also addresses or gives out some kind of solution, or at least spreading the word about the issue.
And even that's recycled.
Yeah,
good. We have those slogans each year for our litter festival, Prima Vista, and in 2010, in the wake of economic crisis, it was art of survival in singular, and so I recycled it into arts of survival, plural, because it hadn't lost its potential, just the opposite. There was more to it.
I think we're more or less reaching the end of this discussion.
Well, it was going to be a swing dancing club here at 8, but just to advertise the vision book of 2024 is on sale in this house. It is going to remain in this house. So if you come around, if you want it, it's available both in Estonian and English, and it's something that we try to do differently, not to publish this kind of catalogue of a whole program as some other cities have done, because everything's changing anyway. You can find information online, so on and so forth. We published a collection of essays tackling some of the main issues of Title 24, so that it would have a continued relevance in the intellectual discussion. It's not the kind of souvenir you put on a shelf, but you can refer back to it, and I think those issues are not going the way. We are not going to solve them. It's never been the idea, it's never been the possibility of 1 year of European capital culture solving all those big issues, providing answers how to cope with climate crisis, how to end wars. No, but it's a spotlight on trying to think about them, trying to address them through arts.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And speaking of souvenirs, I have one for you. And this is, let me just take it. And this is a tooth of the beast of Kaunas.
Oh, thank you.
Stay sharp. Stay sharp. This is.
Yeah, it's time for, we can do it when the recording has stopped, but it's time for exchanging souvenirs and small gifts.
Yeah, we can have it.
jah, mul on see raamat ka muidugi, võtan selle siis välja ja panen siia. So we have something special for you. Rytis. If you walk around on the streets of Tartu, maybe you actually witnessed it. There is a mural, street art of the cat that is falling on its feet.
Always falling on its feet.
Yeah, and this is the cat of our artistic director, Kati Torp.
So it's a picture of an actual cat.
Yeah. And I was just checking, do we have more of these key rings in the office? No, it's the last one. It's really the final one. So you got it now.
Oh,
I don't know if you're a cat person or a dog person, but
thank
you are
you,
a dog
thank
person,
you,
I
but
think.
I'm a cat person, probably.
Ah,
Probably yes, because yeah, I don't keep pets because I travel a lot, so I cannot afford. But I like cats.
there's some more together with this bag.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Rytis. It was an honor to have
Thank you,
you.
Yeah.
guys.
I think it's
It was
a
an
great
honor to meet
conversation.
you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
was indeed. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Actually, the voice of the audience,
Mhm.
I like to add that I don't know how it's in Lithuania, but in Estonia we are very I can't, we don't tell positive things first, never. And that's I thank you for that. That you see, there is so much positive in this year and in this preparing and what will last. And I think this is very good, but it's very astonished, I would say, that no, nothing happened.
Same in Lithuania.
Where do you find this? No, the program is now visible. It's yeah.
Same in Lithuania.
Yeah.
Same.
I think
It's just me being always, in Lithuania, I always make a lot of noise about it. Because I always say, you want to be miserable, you want to stay miserable, or what? Or what?
I think it's a driving.
What's the
driving
point
force
of
for
being
everybody.
miserable? What's the point? It's like Lithuanians are very much pessimists. Well, it'll end up tragically. Everything, nothing will come out of it. Never.
And actually art is always like connected with survival. It's very good point to have it.
And cats are
Yeah,
survivalists.
cats.
Cats are survivalists always.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
part which I did not mention in this recording was that actually, but maybe I have told it for you. It all kind of fall into place for me when I was in Kaunas. It was the last day of my last visit in Kaunas. It was pretty gray and moisty weather, and I was walking on the street and I saw a small photo project. No, it was later. It was later, much later, a year later actually. And I saw this photo project where the kind of houses were X-rayed. And it was a project. The cellars where the beast is living, and then it was like, wow. I mean, like from temporary to contemporary, which is already genius. So well contradicting parts put together, like designing happiness, modernism for the future, memory office, all it's brilliant. And then, like as we say, dot on the I or letter I, it was this where the Kaunas beast is resting. So it was like I was so impressed, and that was probably the most magical moment of Kaunas 2022 myth for me.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very much. I have this idea, you have those maps in the city sometimes for tourists. You are here, and the rest of the cities. And I wanted to have those big maps in Kaunas that you are here, and this is the underworld.
Exactly.
Imagine, this is real. This is real. You are here. You can see this and this and that. And from here, when you cross the waterline, it's an imagined city. And I wanted this to be presented in a city.
And I haven't read the fairy tale book yet. I was reading it afterwards, so that was like an extra layer.
And this is the last one because I brought it. This is the last one in English. This is the
I
last.
have it at home. Yeah.
But you have that.
I have it.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I've read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and I hope that. There was a moment where I felt like maybe we should stop this conversation because you said that we don't know if the story is going to survive or not.
Yeah.
The seeds have been planted,
And we shouldn't know that. We are not supposed to know that. That's the best part.
Brilliant.
And then I think with this idea, we in a way outsmart the critics.
Yeah,
We can say, it will take 500 years. Nobody knows.
I like the idea of us not being remembered because I think it would be kind of contradictory to what we do if 100 years from now people kept on hammering that the peak point of Tartu history was the European capital of culture. Yeah, we should always remember that. We should always repeat that. No,
No.
the culture 100 years on should be in that present moment, looking towards future and
Yes.
taking the best of what we did.
Yes, and yeah, exactly. It's good. Yeah, and I like that very much. I think it's not about us. It's about others, because we had our pleasure writing down those stories. We already had our pleasures. Let others have
Yeah.
their pleasures. This is important. We had it is a privilege that we had, a huge privilege, to imagine things and to see those things, some of these things visible. That is a good, that is a luxury. I'm a luckiest person in the world, really, because I had this opportunity. It's just like, wow. What else? Could I dream of? Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.